What up, brawlers? Welcome back to Throwin Hands. It's me, it's Toby. UFC London, fourth time in the past 2 years they've been to London. You and I were literally just talking. This might be the worst card, but of the four London cards, but this is still a great card.
Yeah, it looks good top to bottom. There's a lot of interesting fights on there.
Indeed, there is. The blur's really grinding my gear, so there we go. I'm out of the blur. But let me share my screen real quick and we'll get started. We'll touch on the prelims a little bit. Um, yeah, all right. So, um, nothing too crazy on the prelims, to be honest. Shauna Bannon, this is one of Conor McGregor's girls. So obviously Conor's going to be promoting her. Bruna Brazil, that's a um, excuse me. You know, not the easiest debut. I don't think Bruna Brazil isn't a can by any means. So I think this is a tough test for Shauna Bannon. Obviously, she's in the red corner because she got a name over there.
Yeah, Bruna Brazil is pretty good actually. Her last loss was against Denise Gomes, but as we've seen, I mean, Denise Gomes is pretty legit, I would say. She's tough, she's strong, she has finishing ability, so that's not a terrible loss. And Bruna Brazil, she's a pretty good striker, got a good background like Muay Thai and kickboxing. So, I mean, I haven't seen much of Shauna Bannon to be completely honest, so I don't, I can't say too much about her style or anything, but it is a pretty tough fight for anybody.
Yeah, completely agree. This is I didn't look too much in this fight, but Chris Duncan, I feel like he's been around forever. For some reason. I don't know why, but even though he really hasn't been around that long, he only has one fight. But he's a little older, I'm pretty sure. But this is against Ashmus. I, I I think this is the first fighter with a guy from the UK on it. So if you guys want to go start where the crowd starts, this is where to start.
Yeah. Yeah, there's another one. I don't know too much about these guys. I mean, both of them really, they only have one fight in the UFC. But from what I've seen, it should be a fun matchup. Both these guys fight hard. They're not going to quit in there. Yeah, I think Ash Moose is a pretty good prospect, though. You know.
Honestly, like low, these aren't low level fights, but like unranked light heavyweight bouts always seem to be pretty fun because they're just swinging it. They're trying to get up into that top 15, but they're just swinging and banging. And I love light heavyweight. They're big and they're fast. All right, women's bantamweight. This is the talk of the town when it comes to the women's divisions as of late, because the women's goat Amanda Nunes has departed and she's not coming back. There's no chance. There's nothing in my mind that says she's coming back. But anyway, Ketlin Vieira, what was she coming off of? I can't remember.
I think she lost to Raquel Pennington.
Yeah, she lost to Rocky Pennington at the beginning of the year by split decision. And she biggest robbery of all time, home versus Vieira. I don't care. That horrible. Just as bad as Patty versus Jared Gordon. But Patty Kianzad, man, she's been coming up in this division as of late. And I don't know, maybe we can get some new blood up in that top five.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, what's interesting is that both of their last losses are to Raquel Pennington, the GOAT, Rocky Pennington, the next bantamweight champ. Honestly, maybe. I mean, Raquel Pennington, she's on like a 5-fight win streak, and you know, I think she's got one finish out of those 5 fights, and a lot of the other ones have been like close or split decisions. But you know, it's interesting. I mean, it kind of shows you where this division is at when this fight is just kind of snuck into the prelims, and it's a number 4 versus number 7, so it's a pretty pivotal matchup. But as far as it goes, I mean, Ketlin Vieira, she's had a bit of up and down career. She got knocked out really bad by Irene Aldana a couple of years ago. She's had a couple of losses here and there, but she has some good wins too. I mean, Holly Holm, although she probably didn't win that fight. Even the
She
Misha
lost
Tate
that
fight,
fight.
yeah, the Misha Tate fight was close. I think she won that one, but I would probably, I don't know, I'd favor Pandy Ed. I think she's been more consistent as of late, and she's a bit more well-rounded.
For sure.
It was
All right,
close,
here,
close
here we
matchup.
go. Here we go. We're getting to the meat of it all here. Mahmoud Murdov versus Brian Barberena. Brian Barberena seems to be a banger magnet. Um like it and this is up at middleweight too.
Oh
So
yeah.
I mean, Brian Barberena isn't even that big of a welterweight. Like I think if he got in shape, he could cut down the lightweight. But
Yeah,
like this is an interesting matchup, and for some reason, if Brian Barberena is a dog in this fight, I wouldn't be surprised if he somehow pulls this off.
yeah, it is it's interesting. Like you mentioned, he doesn't really cut that much weight, it seems like, to even get to welterweight. It looks like he's kind of like a Colby Covington where he just weighs around 175, maybe 180 and just cuts a little bit. But yeah, I was surprised when I saw the odds for this fight because, Mahmoud Muradov, he's good, but, he's coming off two losses, one of them being he got choked out by Gerald Meerschaert, which, Gerald Meerschaert's decent, but not the most technical guy. So
And
I was kind of,
Borjalio, right?
yeah, yeah, and he lost to Kaio. So I was kind of surprised seeing how big of a favorite he was, but then I realized that this fight is at middleweight. So I'm not sure why Brian Barberena has made this decision to move up to middleweight. I mean, he is coming off a couple of losses himself, but not exactly bad losses or anything. I mean, he got, submitted a couple of times, but against two really good guys. I mean, RDA and Gunnar Nelson, nothing to sneeze at there, but I guess maybe he just thinks that he has a better path at middleweight. I'm not so sure I see
I'm not
that, but
sure either. Then he beat Robbie Lawler and Matt Brown back to
yeah,
back.
yeah,
So man, knowing Barberena, it's probably going to be a banger. So we'll see what happens here. Um,
yeah.
Jamal Pogues versus Mick Parkin making his debut. I don't know what to think about this one, man. These are just two big dudes swinging and banging. That's all I can say about this one.
Yeah, this is another one, don't have a lot of footage on either of these guys in the UFC at least. They definitely look like bangers, man. They look like big dudes that have big power. Although looking at Pogues, he doesn't, in his contender series fight or in the UFC, doesn't have any finishes. But that's not too unusual for heavyweights. A lot of times, they kind of cancel each other out and they end up just going to decision. But yeah, this should be hopefully a fun one.
Yeah, two big heavyweights. Gotta love it. Danny Roberts, I forgot about him. Jeez, I feel like he hasn't fought in a minute. Um, Johnny Parsons, interesting fight here. Welterweight. I mean, it's a pick 'em. So if you're a betting man, um, this is choose whomever you want. You win about the same amount of money, but I don't really got too much on this fight. I just realized totally forgot Danny Roberts was back.
Yeah, and I think Danny Roberts takes it. He's got a ton of experience in the UFC. I mean, he's fought some of the best guys in the welterweight division. He's fought, Trinaldo, he's fought JDM, he's fought Michel Pereira, he's fought other like David Zawada. He's fought a lot of good guys. And yeah, he did lose a lot of those fights, obviously, but he's also got some good wins. But I think just the experience is gonna, make the biggest difference here. I think he's still got good enough skill and obviously, I think Johnny Parsons is a skilled guy too, but we just haven't seen enough of him. I mean, I think this might be his debut. So
This is his debut, so I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, looking at him, I think he could probably fight down at lightweight. Um,
yeah, yeah. Joel Alvarez, Mark Casey, that's a fun matchup too.
oh dang, I totally looked over that. Yes, Joel Alvarez versus Mark DeCasey. I watched Mark DeCasey fight in Columbus. He wrestled Slava Claus, I'm pretty sure. But Joel Alvarez, I like Joel Alvarez a lot, dude. I think he's really good. Yes, I know he just lost, but they're both coming off losses, but Joel Alvarez is really good, I think.
Hey, listen, I mean, Joel Alvarez, dude, yeah, he's coming off a loss, but to Arman Sarukian. And his other loss in the UFC is to Demir Ismagulov. So he's lost to two of the best guys in the division. Other than that, he's got four finishes in the UFC. I mean, he's a really, really good fighter. He's got great submissions. He's super long and pretty tall for this weight class. He uses his height well in his striking. I mean, he's just a really fluid striker and fluid submission artist. And Mark Casey, he's interesting. I mean, he had a lot of his career where he was primarily a striker and then kind of out of nowhere just became a wrestler. Like he just started wrestling in almost every fight. I think he got like 10 or 11 takedowns against Slava Claus. He got whoever he fought next, he got like, a lot of takedowns in that fight too. So it'll be interesting to see what his game plan is here. But I think if Jacasey tries to wrestle a lot, I don't think Joel Alvarez is going to be in too much danger because he has such good submissions off his back and he has such good stand-ups. So I think Joel Alvarez, I think this is a great fight for him. I think he's
Yeah,
going to take this for sure.
I think this is really just to get Joel Alvarez back on his feet. Like
Yeah.
he's good, guys. He's really good, and
Yeah.
he's
He's a
six
really good.
two. He could fight at welterweight if he wants.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Oh, Davy Grant. Yes, yes. If you want an automatic banger, Davy Grant's your guy. I mean, Daniel Marcos can bring it too, but man, good test for Daniel Marcos though. Against a crafty veteran like Davy Grant. I mean, he took him around from Cheeto Vera not even 2 years ago, I don't think. So yeah, Davy Grant can fight, man. I'll take Davy Grant. He got the hometown vibes behind him.
Yeah, Davy Grant, I think he's legit. He has a very unorthodox style. He throws a lot of weird, like very looping combinations, and he leaves his chin open a lot of the time, but he has a really rock solid chin. And when he does connect with you, he's got pretty good power and he's always looking for the finish. I mean, like you said, he took around from Cheeto. He had a split decision with Yanez. He had a great finish over Jonathan Martinez, and now Jonathan Martinez is on a 5 fight win streak. So what does that say about? I mean, his level of competition has been really high. Even in the Asuncao fight, he wasn't looking amazing, and he got a little lucky. There was a headbutt, but he still got an inverted triangle. So I mean, this dude is a finisher. He is super tough. He is. He's pretty well rounded too. I mean, he's like I said, he's not the most technical guy everywhere, but he's got good skills everywhere. But Daniel Marcos too is a really solid fighter. Got a finish in his last fight. This should be a fun one, man. This is a banger. This is a great fight.
Yeah, banger. Great features prelim. This was a smart decision, but to the main card, uh, featherweight, Lerone Murphy versus Josh Coolabout. Lerone Murphy had some beef with somebody. I think he had some beef with Nathaniel Wood earlier in the week for their canceled fight 4 months ago. But man, this is a great fight. I'm excited for this one. I like Josh Coolabout a lot. I like Lerone Murphy a lot. Two guys, young, top prospects in this featherweight division that is stacked, by the way. But this is a great matchup, I think, and I'm excited to see where this goes. I think I'll give the edge to Lerone Murphy though.
Yeah, this is a really fun fight. I mean, both these guys are on some good win streaks right now. Lerone Murphy, a really, really hot prospect right now. He had that huge knee over Makwan Amirkhani. Like Amirkhani shot in for a takedown, and he just, I mean, threw a perfectly timed knee and completely put his lights out. Yeah, he's got great striking. I mean, he's great timing on everything, super accurate. And Josh Coolabah, yeah, I'm pretty high on him too. He's a great fighter, man. He's on a couple fight win streak as well. Yeah, this is a really good matchup to kick off the main card. If I had to favor someone, I'd probably go Lerone Murphy. I'm just, a little bit, I think he's just a little bit better everywhere, but Coolabah is definitely a legit fighter.
Yeah, fun fight here, guys. You don't want to miss that one. Ooh, here we go. Jai Herbert versus Fares Ziam. This is a great fight too, man. Jai Herbert, probably the longest, outside of Jalen Turner, the longest lightweight that I can think of. Especially when it comes to reach and leg reach. But these are two massive lightweights. Good Lord, I didn't realize Ziam was 6'1". Oh man, but Ziam, both these guys can fight, man. Jai Herbert, he got sent to another planet from Ilya by Ilya Taporia. Um, and yeah, man. Coming off a win, two of his last three for us. But Jai Herbert got that hometown, and honestly, the hometown might take it from me, man. I think he gets the dub.
Yeah, this is a really fun matchup. Both super tall, long guys for lightweight. ZM, he hasn't been super impressive to me throughout his UFC run. I think he's fought a little bit under his skill level. I think he's a very talented guy. I just don't think he's performed quite to expectations. I mean, yeah, he's got a couple of wins, but I just think he could have done a little bit better. I would favor Jai Herbert just because like in all his fights, he actually looks really good until he doesn't. I know that's kind of dumb to say, but like he's looking so good against Trinaldo. He's looking pretty good against Taporia, and then he just gets knocked out cold. So if he can stay really composed in this fight, stay on the outside, one of his best strength is his kicks. I mean, he brings his legs up super quick, doesn't really telegraph his
Yes.
kicks. Um, so if he
Sets him
can,
up well too.
yeah, sets him up really well. I mean, this he's a really good fighter. He's got great combinations and he's long. I mean, he's got decent submissions too. So, if he can just stay composed in this fight and not let up in the second and third round and get knocked out brutally, then I think he's definitely gonna, win this fight and look really good doing it. But, that's always a question with Jai Herbert. So,
Yeah, he either wins or loses horribly. There's no between.
yeah.
But shout Ilya Taporia, that's the first time I ever just like looked at the TV like, ugh. Like,
Yeah, that was a horrible, horrible knockout. His eyes just completely rolled back in his head. It's like,
he was out
oh
before he even
boy.
hit the ground. But
Yeah.
Paul Krieg, hair transplant Paul Craig is a different animal, man. I don't
Yeah,
know what it is. But
it looks, I didn't notice that, but it looks like he definitely got a hair transplant.
yeah, oh, definitely. Uh, but good for him, man. Anyway,
Yeah.
uh, Andre Muniz, this is a tough matchup to start at your middleweight career, and good lord, Andre Muniz. I mean, didn't he submit Jacare? Am I going crazy?
Yeah. Yeah. He broke his arm, I think.
Yeah, like the jiu-jitsu in this match is going to be fun to watch. I'm so excited for that. Paul Craig has serious jiu-jitsu, guys. I mean, he submitted Jamal Hill, the former champ. Dang, that sucks to say,
I
but
know, man.
but yeah, Paul Craig's legit, and I think him going down the middleweight, if he's like not drained, no, there's no jiu-jitsu in this division. Like Jack Manson, yes, Jack Manson for sure. I think Paul Costa has a black belt, but depends on whether or not he wants to use it. Um, but not much jiu-jitsu in this division. Honestly, he can make some headway in this division, I think.
Yeah, this is a great, great matchup. Especially if you love grappling, then this is a must watch. I mean, these guys are some of the highest level grapplers in all of the UFC. I will say, I think Paul Craig is maybe at a little bit of a disadvantage just because Muniz has really good top game and top pressure, whereas Paul Craig is more of a fighting off his back guy, and he's fine to take one round, take two rounds, just laying on his back in hopes that he ends up getting a triangle or a guillotine or something. Whereas Muniz will try to reverse the position, get on top of you, and look for something more dominant. So I think that I would favor Muniz. He was on a huge win streak too. Like you mentioned, he broke Jacare's arm, and his only loss is to Brendan Allen. And we know from Brendan Allen's most recent fight, we know how good this guy is too.
Yeah,
So I think that I would favor Muniz, but Paul Craig does have a bit of a size advantage. I'm sure he was a pretty big light heavyweight, so it's going to be interesting to see just how he looks and how he feels at middleweight. But this is a really fun matchup, and like you mentioned as well, if he can get past Muniz, I mean, really the only other guy near the top of the middleweight division that's mainly a grappler is Brendan Allen. So, yeah, he could have a pretty straight path through the division if he's able to submit some guys.
yeah, I agree. I'll favor Paul Craig in this one. I know, and that's tough for me to say. Wait, does he have a bang tattoo?
I don't know what that is. He's always dangerous, though. I mean, there's no counting out Paul Craig for
Yeah,
sure.
don't count out Paul
He
Krieg.
he submitted Ankalaev with like a second left, I think.
Yeah, and then he threw up that triangle against Nikita Krylov. Like
Yeah.
he's legit, man.
Yep.
He's very good. All right, I'm excited for this one. Nathaniel Wood versus Andre. This is nicknamed Touchy.
Yeah. Touchy feely.
I love it. But Nathaniel Wood, he dodged my boy Vince Morales. I'll never forget that. He used to be a bantamweight, but now he's moving up to featherweight. I don't know what it is, but okay. I never noticed how many tattoos Andre Fili has. Good lord, those are sick. But anyway, back to the fight. This is another banger, man. I know it's not a ranked matchup, but both these fighters like to go at it, and I'm excited for this one. This is fun.
Yeah, this is such a good matchup, man. I think Nathaniel Wood is a really, really solid prospect. I mean, his last fight was against Charles Jourdain, and he really impressed me in that one. I favorite Jourdain going into that fight. I mean, I'm a big Charles Jourdain fan. I love his striking style, but Nathaniel Wood just shut him down. I mean, it was not a super close fight. You know, Nathaniel Wood beat him in pretty much every area, and that's kind of been a theme for a lot of his wins in the UFC. He pretty much just dominates these fights if not finishes them. So, I mean, Andre Fili, super experienced in the UFC. He's coming off a win now after a couple of tough losses. But yeah, I think this might be a little bit of a changing of the guard. I think this is a time for or Nathaniel Wood to come in and show that he's legit and he's here to stay.
I agree. I think Nathaniel Wood is the better fighter. The odds show that.
Yeah,
I didn't realize Andre Fili was only 33. I feel he feels older than that.
he's been in the UFC for so long.
Yeah,
You
he's
know,
been,
Nathaniel Wood, he had such a cool career in Cage Warriors too. Has a lot of great moments over there. So he's going to have all the crowd support in the world. So I think these are just favorable circumstances for him.
yeah, for sure. I think Nathaniel Wood takes it.
But I love Andre Fili though. I just want to say that Andre
Oh,
Fili
I
is
love
super
everyone loves
awesome.
Andre Fili.
Yeah, has had a great career in the UFC. And I want to say this on the record because nobody ever talks about this. The fight against Yair Rodriguez, where he got switch kicked in the face, he got eye poked right before that happened, and he was like clearing out his eye. Nobody ever talks about this, but he couldn't see out of his eye. And then he got switch kicked in the face. So yes, it was a great knockout, but I want everybody to remember that Andre Fili got eye poked before he got switch kicked.
Yeah, you're just like, just know that, man. Just know that.
Justice for Andre Fili, man.
Justice for Andre Fili. You heard it here, folks.
Not
But
that he was gonna, dominate that fight or anything, but I don't know. It's just kind of funny.
I don't know, hey, he lost to the former interim champ. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Let's have this discussion. I just saw this. So whenever I think of fighters who have never won belts, I never count people. I never count people who win the interim title. Like in my mind, Dustin Poirier's never won a belt.
Yeah.
And like I think Dustin Poirier is probably the best fighter to never ever win a belt.
Yeah. I mean, I think it kind of depends on, like some interim belts are completely pointless, obviously, but sometimes they have some value. I think that, for example, like Renan Barão, when he was the interim champion, he defended his interim belt like 2 times because Dominic Cruz was out. And for whatever reason, they just didn't want to make Barão the actual champion. And so even if Barão had never become, and eventually they did, but even if Barão had never gotten the undisputed belt, I still would consider him a champion because he
Yeah.
had the interim belt. He defended it against great fighters like Michael McDonald. So I think, by and large, yeah, I agree. I agree that if you're an interim champion, it doesn't really mean that you were a true champion. But there are exceptions, like Renan Barão, for example.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Like Renan Barão, yeah, if he never became champ, true champ, undisputed champ rather. My bad. Yeah, I completely get that. That'd make total sense to me. But like, come on. What's his face? Cyril Gahn was never the champ.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
no,
yeah.
horrible. Most pointless interim belt of all time. I don't even think Yair Rodriguez's belt is that valuable.
No.
Masterclass by Volk, by the way. Go watch that if you haven't. Um,
Yeah.
but all right, Molly McCann versus Julia Stoliarenko. This is the worst fight on the main card. I don't care what anybody says. The only reason this is there is because Molly McCann has some name value. If you wanted a true co-main, I think Paul Craig versus
Oh,
Muniz
yeah.
or Nathaniel Wood versus Andre Fili should have been the co-main. But
100%.
anyway, that's not for me to say. I feel like this Molly McCann's always gonna bring it. She's gonna fight dirty. I mean, she got absolutely crushed by Aaron Blanchfield in the last fight. Good lord. But yes, Stoliarenko's not great.
Nah, I mean, this is a very weird co-main event. Stoliarenko is like 1-5 in the UFC or something. She's not a very good fighter. So I think, yeah, the fact that this is a co-main event is it's very clear that they want Molly McCann to have a good bounce back fight. They want her to just go out there and like brutally finish someone. And in all likelihood, that's probably what's going to happen because although Molly McCann is very overrated, she's not the most skilled fighter. Stoliarenko is worse. I mean, she is not a great fighter either. So it's an interesting matchup. I mean, it's interesting insofar as if Molly McCann gets a finish. I think it'll be interesting because I did like her finish of Hannah Goldie where she hurt her and then basically like did a running spinning back elbow, which is pretty cool, and then finished her off with punches. Or the Luana Carolina. I mean, Molly McCann has great finishes, but before that, she was honestly not a super exciting fighter. Almost all decisions, maybe like literally all decisions. And she just got in front of the London crowd and was able to pull out these great finishes. So if she's able to do that again, that could be cool. But I don't think, it's not a high level fight. It's not a pivotal fight either. I mean, these are
No,
unranked flyweights. This is like it's a very odd co-main event. And like you said, I think Paul Craig would have been a much better co-main. Nathaniel Wood. I mean, you could have put Davy Grant in the co-main, and I would have been like, oh yeah, that makes more sense than this. But
yeah, man, that first London card was awesome. Back in
yeah,
2022, March 2. Oh, that was amazing.
what a
If you haven't
time.
watched that card, go back and watch it. Amazing. But
It,
anyway, main event time. Tom Aspinall versus Marcin Tybura. Um, yeah, man. Tom Aspinall's back coming off he tore like I think tore a few things in his knee by just stepping back against Curtis Blades. I remember yelling at my TV, no.
that fight was looking like it was going to be so good too. They came out like swinging for the
They were swanging
fences
and banging, man.
immediately, just throwing haymakers.
Yeah, my dad and I were watching. I said, Dad, this is going out of the first round. And then Tom Aspinall blew his knee out. But anyway, I think this could be a piece of cake for Tom Aspinall, man. As much as I like Martin Tybura, my fellow Pole, but bro, I think Tom Aspinall's Polish too. But anyway, like, dude, this is just to get Aspinall back in the mix of things, man. If Tom Aspinall is like anywhere close to what he was, it's gonna be a first round sub.
Yeah, I 100% agree. No disrespect to Tybura. I mean, he's a good fighter. He's got a couple of finishes in his last fights, but if you look at Aspinall's win over Sergey Spivak, where he threw that knee and then immediately followed up with the elbow, I mean, that was beautiful. If you look at what he did to Alexander Volkov, who we know is a legit top five heavyweight, probably. I mean, he finished him with a straight armbar, which is like nobody finishes people with straight arm bars, especially not at this level. So I think Aspinall is in a whole different world when it comes to talent as compared to Marcin Tybura. And like I said, nothing against the guy, but Aspinall is one of the best prospects we've ever seen in any division. I mean, this guy has finished every win that he has in the UFC. He's looked spectacular in every single one. I mean, he finished Arlovsky, and Arlovsky has barely been finished by anybody in the past like 5 years. This dude's always going to decision. So he's finishing guys that don't get finished. Like his skill level is almost incomprehensible for a heavyweight. Like we don't see heavyweights coming through who are this quick, this agile, this explosive. I mean, this dude is a monster, man. I think he's a future champion.
Oh, I agree completely. And one thing that stuck out to me was when Volkov threw I think it was a jab, and Aspinall just slipped it, takedown. It was so quick,
Oh, it's
and
incredible.
his wrestling, especially coming from the UK, incredible. He's so good, guys. But anyway, Aspinall but whatever he wants in the first round. That's how I see it.
Yeah, this is going to be a quick finish, I think. It's not really going to be a tough fight. The only question mark around this fight is he 100% healed? Is he fully back to what he was? And judging by how much time he's taken off and how much of an athlete he already was, I think he's going to be able to recover just fine. I think that should be no problem.
Yeah, I think he's only 29 too,
Yeah,
which is
he's
crazy.
young. Yep,
Oh, he's 30
incredible.
now. Jeez. For a heavyweight, that is a spring chicken.
Yeah,
But let's take a look at the heavyweight rankings real quick because he's number 5 in the rankings. Yeah, man. I could see him beating everybody in the top 5 except John Jones right now.
yeah, yep. I agree. Now, is John's fight with Stipe, has that been like confirmed or are they just talking about that?
Dana White confirmed it.
Okay, nice, nice. Yeah, that'll be fun. I think the only other guy that could maybe give him problems would be Jalton or maybe Sergey Pavlovich, but even
Yeah.
then, I would still favor Aspinall in both those fights because he's much more well-rounded than Jalton.
Yes,
And
that's true.
as far as I can tell, he's also much more well-rounded than Pavlovich. We just haven't seen a lot of Pavlovich's grappling. And to be fair, he hasn't really needed to show it. because he's just finishing everybody in the first round. But sometimes when you have those guys that just finish every fight in the first round like that, and yes, Aspinall has done the same thing, but we've seen so many different skills from Aspinall. So it's just we haven't seen enough from Pavlovich, in my opinion.
I agree. All right, so some things have moved around at to next week's 291 card. Best card of the year, in my opinion. I don't know if you agree with me on that, but I think this is by far the best card of the year so far.
Yeah, I was thinking it's definitely up there. It's either that or 292 also looks spectacular in my
Oh yeah.
opinion.
So we'll get into things that have moved around because a lot of things have moved around in the past 48 hours. Um, I forgot, guys, just so you know, we have a bonus episode coming up. I was moving this week, so I didn't get a chance to edit it, but we ranked the UFC commentators. So that'll come out later. There's old news on that. I'll probably keep the old news in case you didn't hear it. But anyway, so Stephen Thompson, Michel Pereira got moved up to the main card. I am all for that. Great way to open up the main card. Uh,
Oh yeah.
Keston Holland got moved up. Tony Ferguson is now one of the featured bouts with Bobby Green. Please, Tony, please, please, Tony, please, just win.
Oh, we'll see, man. We'll see. I think Bobby Green is not an easy fight. That is a very tough fight for him.
Here's how I see Tony Ferguson winning that fight. He gets knocked down. Bobby Green gets on top, and then Tony throws up like a triangle or something.
Yeah. I will say, now that I'm thinking about it a little bit, Bobby Green makes his career off of fighting clean, right? He a lot of punchers. He avoids punches very well. He has not much lower body movement, but his head movement is really good. And I think if Tony comes in and he starts ripping the body, hitting the legs, if he starts, saying, screw it, I'm not going to go for these clean punches. I'm going to throw elbows. I'm going to throw, lead with elbows. I'm going to throw everything at this guy. I think he could have a chance because we saw against Fiziev, Bobby Green had one of the best fights I've seen against Rafael Fiziev. And Fiziev was trying to throw a bunch of punches and he was missing because Bobby Green was just moving his head out of the way. But when Fiziev started throwing those body kicks, that's when the fight changed. So if Tony can come in, he used to have a great front kick to the body. He used to have great leg kicks, great lead elbows. If he can start doing that, maybe,
Yeah,
maybe.
I thought Bobby Green beat Fiziev, but that's beside the point.
Close fight for sure.
Very close fight. Man, fun card. Jake Matthews is not fighting Baeza anymore. Sadly, I was so looking forward to that fight. Oh gosh,
That's a banger. Man, we lost a good one.
I hope we get that in the future. But
Hey, dude, Semi the Jedi. I didn't know Matthew Simmelsberger was on this card.
yeah, he is.
He's
I'm excited for
always a
Summersburg.
fun guy, man. I love Simmelsberger.
Yeah, Summersburg is awesome. Let's head on over to all right. So things have moved around. UFC 295 in Abu Dhabi. I think that's the card. Yeah. We got our main event. Charlie Olives versus Islam Makhachev 2. And then we have Paulo Costa versus what's his face? I don't even remember his name anymore. It's been
Hamzat, yeah.
Chimaev. Yeah,
It's been a while.
too long. It's been too long.
I know.
He lost all of his name value. All of it.
He really did. He really did.
So hopefully Secret Juice comes through and does his thing.
Yeah, it's a fun matchup. It's weird too. It's so funny how Hamzat went from being like he literally fought, I think twice in 2 weeks, maybe even it was like 3 times in a month or something. And everybody was like, wow, this guy's gonna be champion within like a couple of months. And it looked like he was. He was just slaughtering everybody. And then I think, partly due to his behavior, but also partly due to a lot of guys just don't want to accept that fight. He just hasn't been active for a while. And his popularity has just dropped off a cliff. It's kind of shocking to see. I guess not shocking, but just interesting.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so Umar Nurmagomedov out. The classic Nurmagomedov. Oh, we want top guys. Oh, I gotta pull out. But I like Umar a lot. I think he's really awesome. I've praised him on this. So I'm gonna remove Umar from that expectation because I do not believe he pulled out for a very legit reason. But anyway, this is a banger. Rob Font versus Corey Sandhagen. I don't care. This is heat.
Yeah, this is such a good matchup, man. I'm a bit worried for Rob Font though because he has a lot of scar tissue on his face, and we've seen that he can get really cut up badly by elbows and big shots. And I think Corey Sandhagen is maybe one of the best elbow throwers in all of the UFC. Like his elbows are disgusting. So, yeah, he wasn't preparing for Rob Font, but Corey Sandhagen, that's another thing too. It doesn't even matter, I feel like, because his game planning and his adaptability in fights is so good. His reactions are so quick and his reads are so impeccable. Like he makes such good reads in fights and he's able to adapt on the fly. This is a great matchup, man. I think I'm favoring Corey Sandhagen, but yeah, I mean, Rob Font is no slouch either. He had a fantastic knockout of Adrian Yanez in his last fight. I thought he looked really good in that one, but he did get busted up a little bit. So, it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I think this is
Yeah.
going to be one of the best fights of the year, probably.
So that means Song Yudong's without a fight. Um, you and I suggested some pretty good names. You said Jonathan Martinez. We texted about this yesterday. I said Chris Gutierrez. I think both options are fantastic. I want to see him both.
Yeah, I would love to see either of those fights. Both of them deserve it too. I mean, Jonathan Martinez on a great win streak, coming off the win over Saeed Nurmagomedov. So yeah, that's a great one. And then Chris Gutierrez, coming off that horrifying knockout of Frankie Edgar that should have never ever happened.
Never
But
happened.
but he's still a really great fighter. I mean, he's very talented. Obviously, he's a legit prospect. So both those guys deserve it.
I'm pretty sure I exclaimed Frankie when that happened. That was so sad.
It's so sad too because you could see it coming from a mile away. You're like, oh, he's gonna knee him right in the face when he ducks in. Oh wow! And
Ugh,
then he just like fell backwards like a stone. Like, oh well,
so
yep.
sad. Oh, one more fight on 294. 295 is MSG with Jones and Stiopic, as Joey Diaz would say. Uh, Nasruddin Imamov will take on Ikram Aliskerov. This is a much more reasonable matchup.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
I'm for it. Paulo Costa should never have been fighting Aliskerov. Um, Paulo probably. It's so interesting how the UFC like says, "Oh, these two are fighting," just like try and push them to sign the contract or something.
yeah. I know. I mean, respect to Paulo for not giving into that. You know, I mean, I'm not sure the exact ins and outs of that contract, what was going on behind the scenes, but yeah, it seemed like he never really wanted to take that fight, and they just kept saying like, "Yep, he's fighting Ikram," and he was, I guess he just never signed it. So.
Yep, is what it is.
Respect to Paulo Costa.
Respect. um, Kyler Phillips, Ione Barcelos. That's a fight that I'm actually pretty pumped up for that fight. That's a really good fight.
That's a very awesome fight. Howdy Barcelos, man, he is one of the most talented guys to not break into like the top 10 of his division. And he got viciously knocked out in his last fight. That was kind of hard to watch, but he's a super awesome fighter.
He really is. He's awesome.
Which card is that on again?
That's on let's see. Oh, right there. UFC Nashville.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, I just saw on Twitter Tony Bennett died.
Oh man, that's sad.
Dang. That's sad. Legend. Absolute legend. Good
Yep.
Lord.
Yep.
I know this is an MMA podcast, but dude's a legend. You got to recognize it. We recognize greatness here on Throwing Hands,
Yes.
wherever it may come from. But ooh, I didn't see this. Tyson Pedro will fight Anton Turkali at 293. Dang,
Yeah, that's a
bangers
fun
are
matchup.
being made, bro.
Oh yeah, for sure. I see they're
Uh,
stacking up UFC 293 with all this like Blood Diamond, Kai Kara France, Pedro Tafa, Shane Young. They're all Carlos Solberg. They're all on there.
yeah, for sure. All right,
I get
so some playoffs for what you call it, the PFL come out, and I think what was it? I'm blanking out. Was Shane Burgos is fighting Clay Collard.
it's a fun
Rest in peace,
matchup.
Shane Burgos. I think, dude, that could be
Yeah,
that might be a bloodbath.
Clay Collar is really good. Yeah.
His boxing is incredible, but man, that's still. I lost all respect for PFL after that stunt.
Yeah.
Terrible.
And we also found out that like 90% of their roster is on steroids. and they got caught. Not obviously not like I'm being hyperbolic, but I think it was at least like a dozen fighters got caught on steroids,
Yeah. Yeah, a lot did.
and
Thiago
most
Santos, Rob
and
Wilkinson.
yeah, and it was like half their biggest names in the promotion. So not great.
Not great. That's really all I have, honestly. One quick look on MMA fighting, but yeah, everything's that's it, man.
Hey, I did see Izzy is saying that he wants to take on Sean Strickland at
Yes. Oh,
293.
we forgot about that. Oh yeah. So Izzy was at the gym, hitting the pumping some iron, and so apparently DDP is not going to be ready for 292. He didn't really take damage to that fight, but maybe just punches so hard that he broke his hand.
Yeah.
Or maybe he just brought in too much air with his new nose that his diaphragm's just screwed up. Who knows? But and Izzy wants Sean Strickland at UFC Sydney, so please bring that on, please.
Yeah, please give me that fight. Even if I think that Izzy is probably going to dismantle Sean Strickland, please let me just get that press conference. Oh my goodness, man. That's going to be the build up to that fight is going to be hilarious. And honestly, I mean, Sean Strickland's a dog, you know? I don't think he's going to go in there and give up or anything. So I think that could be a really fun fight.
Yeah, and what Strickland might wrestle too.
Yeah, I mean, oh my God, I hope he does. He
Someone
should.
someone said this is the chance that we have to have both Sean Strickland and Colby Covington as champs at the same time.
It's possible, man. It really is possible.
Oh,
What a timeline that would be. And speaking of, I think they're trying to do Covington versus Leon for 295, same card as Jones and Stipe.
oh, we could get John Jones and Colby Covington same press conference.
Yeah, gotta love
Heck
that.
yes.
But yeah,
The two former roommates.
yeah, not big fans of each other, but and I saw Izzy, he was really going off on Duplessis. He was calling him some choice words. Probably shouldn't repeat them on this podcast.
Yeah, this is a kid show, kid show. Um, but man, that's crazy. Oh, I hope Covington and Jones are on the same stage. Oh, it sucks because they won't be next to each other on the stage either because Colby's not the champ.
Yeah, yep.
Dang it.
Oh,
But
and
anyway,
then
that's all I got. You got anything else?
yeah, I didn't really look much into this, but I saw that Connor was at a funeral or something and got into a brawl,
Oh,
maybe.
I heard
I
something
was
like you like what?
what? This dude's can't like it's one thing, oh, okay, like I'm out drinking, I've had a long night. Oh, I punch an old man in the back of the head. Okay. We've all done that before, right? But doing it, at a funeral or after a funeral or something, like come on, man. That's
Yeah,
it's not the time, Connor.
Connor doesn't seem he's not what I don't know. He just has no social awareness, man. Like, why did you punch an old man at the bar? And then I think he got into another brawl. He was wearing nice clothes. It looked like a solid occasion of some sort. But like, I don't
Yeah.
know, man.
He was
It's
beefing with Machine Gun Kelly at the VMAs or whatever a while back.
yeah. Who knows? But you got anything else?
No, I think that was about it.
All right. So that'll do it for this episode of The Hands. When we get back, we'll review London. So peace out, guys.
Peace.